You're watching the Metaphysical Mentor Podcast with Michael Philpott. We are recording. Christine, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm so happy that you're on the show. And I had another gentleman on. I don't know if you know them. His name was Ivan, and he did he did a really good show with tarot cards in ruins. And a lot of people love that. And I thought, why not have the other half of the hermit and the high priestess to come on the show
Yes.
and talk about oracle cards? But I have to say something first, Christine. I had a little trouble with oracle cards. And I just want to let you know about this. And I'm being totally honest. I bought way too many of those freaking cards. I have stacks and boxes of these things. And I was like, okay, when is enough is enough? Because I was buying I wouldn't say it was an addiction, but at a time I was just buying, oh, there's a new one. I don't have that one. It was getting pretty bad. I don't know if you had the same situation in your house.
It can. Yeah. At the beginning, it's kind of like, ooh, I want all of them. But then eventually over time, you learn how to, connect with the right ones at the right time.
Yeah. Is there particular ones that you connect with or you work with on a consistent basis?
I do. For me, I tend to be really drawn to ones that are based on nature, because for me, nature is a big part of my spirituality. So I just love the cards that have to do with like animals or nature, my forest images and that kind of stuff. Those are the ones that really kind of set my soul on fire and give me tingles when I use them.
Yeah. Are there any cards that maybe I'd say you suggest maybe you shouldn't kind of, I know you have to say name names, but maybe cards that you shouldn't kind of have around? Because I know there's some really funky cards out there that just have some bad juju on it. And I look at them and I go, yeah, I don't think I want to have those cards in my house.
I think it just all depends on the person who's using it. Like what might be bad, like juju for somebody else may not be for another person. So I think it just depends on why is the person purchasing these oracle cards, why they want to use them, how are they going to use them? I think it just all comes down to the person.
Yeah, I guess that really makes sense. It makes a big deal on that. So, one of the things I was really interested in, that you're a certified angel card reader. So
yes,
okay, where did that happen? Like I say, or I should say, where did that happen? I mean, like, how did that happen as far as a certification goes? Because that's really interesting.
Well, when it actually happened, Hay House was coming to Toronto at the time. They had a bunch of different workshops. And around that time, I was getting back into using oracle cards because it was a period where I had stepped away from them. And I saw that they had this workshop with Doreen Virtue, who's no longer associated with the angel cards and whatnot. But at the time, she was doing a workshop and something about it, it just lit me up. And I could hear this little voice saying, you need to sign up, you need to sign up. And even at first, I'm like, oh, but I shouldn't spend the money. But this voice is like, go to the workshop. Like, this is going to be life-changing for you. So I signed up and I went, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was one of my first decks is it was angel cards from Doreen Virtue. I saw that. And at the time I was really big into angels, and it was interesting now. It's not like I don't really communicate with the angels, but I just know I had a connection to them at one time. And it was just something really profound. And it's so kind of weird how she's no longer a part of Hay House and doing that angel reading. Just that was her shtick, right? That was her thing. Like, that's what she was known for. She was the quintessential angel lady.
She was, and she created a lot of decks, because my first collection is pretty much like all Doreen Virtue decks. Like, I still have a lot of them. And I know there's some people too that around the time when she kind of stepped away from that, people are like, oh, like, I'm going to get rid of my decks and I no longer want to use them. And I actually don't mind using them if I need to, because for me, I don't associate it with the person who created it. I associate it to the purpose of them and why they were created. And because when I'm using cards, like, I am connecting to the Angelic Realm. So I don't associate it per se with Doreen Virtue. It's like I connect to the cards and the meanings of them. But yeah, a lot of people are like, get rid of them, don't ever use them. They thought they were evil, that kind of thing. But I still have mine.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are misunderstood about oracle cards, and I think it's that for that reason, but it's understanding that, it's more the intent behind that. And again, that's probably what you do. It's really about the intent and what you're using the oracle cards for, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So what are really the difference between, I know Ivan uses tarot cards and oracle cards for people who are listening. And I got a lot of newbies who come to this and they're trying to figure out, their own spiritual path. So what is the difference between a tarot deck and an oracle deck?
Well, the one thing with tarot decks is that it's always structured. So, you're going to have like the certain symbols, and there's also your major arcana, minor arcana. So no matter what tarot deck you buy, there's always like a structure of how you read the cards and what the meanings are. And there's also, I believe it's like 78 cards in a deck. Whereas with oracle cards, they're more fluid. They're more sort of open to possibilities. There isn't necessarily a set structure. One oracle card could be completely different to another one that you use. And there's just more opportunities of just sort of how you read them, how you receive the messages. And again, it's fluid. It's just very, very open, and it's allowing the opportunity to just connect to them, like just intuition, and I get excited about the oracle cards.
No,
they make me giddy.
That's great, because you want that in a reader. You want somebody who's passionate. You don't want somebody who's going, oh God, here comes another client. I got to do another reading. I don't want to talk about her boyfriend. And does this guy ever, I'm going to have this? Because there's always a lot of the same questions. I don't know. I don't usually get them anymore. But always, I know as a reader, you always get the same type of questions, right? I'm sure at the beginning, and just like you kind of roll your eyes a bit. But again, that was probably me. I don't know if you do that, but you sometimes wonder about, okay, can you maybe ask a little more poignant question? Let's have a better question. So with your abilities, now you're using it intuitively. Are you channeling, or you're kind of getting information? How are you receiving your information? I know you got the deck, and from my understanding is that the deck is kind of like a confirmation of what you're already getting in.
Yes. So what happens for me is, first, when I'm using Oracle deck, when I'm shuffling the cards, I actually, it sounds really weird. People sometimes look at me like, what are you talking about? But first of all, when I'm shuffling cards, whether for myself or for a client, I actually burn up. So I can actually feel my temperature rising, and then all of a sudden I'll get the word stop. And so then I know that that's the card that I need to pull for the client. And then what happens is, when connecting to the cards, it's different based on, who the client is and the deck that I'm using, but I'll see images, I'll see colors. I have certain symbols for me that represent certain situations or certain things that are happening in people's life. For example, if somebody is going through an extremely difficult time, and maybe they're just feeling alone and they're feeling very, very lost, I'll actually see the color gold. And then it's almost like goldy mist. So I'll see this goldy mist, and I'll see the person, and then around them, I see angels. Or maybe the person, they're stuck in life and they don't know which direction to go into. They feel like they can't move. I'll actually see a swamp. And it's almost this feeling of they're stuck and they're trying to move through mud and they can't move. So it's always different. I never know what's going to happen when I read the cards. But for me, I don't go just by the book that comes with the cards, because most Oracle decks, they come with a guidebook. I don't really use the guidebook, because for me, the cards are almost the key to help channel the message. And there might be certain keywords on the card, or it might be certain images, but it's almost like the key that unlocks the door. It helps open that channel between myself and the angelic realm, and allows the messages to come through.
Okay. So are you mainly working with the angelic realm when you're doing your readings?
I am, yes. Yeah, it's always the angelic realm. And sometimes what happens too is, again, it's still at the angelic realm, but sometimes people's loved ones will come through, and then sometimes they'll pass on a message. But usually it's almost like telephone tag. It's like that person's, like grandma or, best friend that passed away will actually pass it on to the angelic realm. And then from the angelic realm, it gets passed on to me.
Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting how you burn up. I went through a phase when I first started my psychic development. And is that they're raising your vibration? Is that spirit's raising your vibration to get you in tune? It's just basically like dialing you up on a little tuner there, and we're just going to crank it up a bit until your body's vibrating at the same level so we can talk to you. And it's always so amazing, because I had a one lady that I knew. She would go like in buckets. You could just tell when she's connecting. She'd be literally just like she would do readings in t-shirts, because she was just always sweating all the time. She would just raise right up. And it was always so interesting to see that. Are you finding a lot of people now are just so stuck in their life? A lot of people come to you for that?
I am, yes. I think especially too with the situation that we're in right now, I think it's really made people sort of evaluate where they are in life and sort of where they want to go. And it just seems now, a lot of people just seem sort of lost. They're unsure which direction to go in, sort of what decisions they should make. It's just, a lot of heaviness and a lot of uncertainty that's happening right now.
Yeah. So, as somebody who does the readings and stuff like that, what are some of the things that you're seeing consistently? I know we just said, stuckness and stuff like that. What are other things that you're seeing consistently coming up for people?
A lot of times career in jobs is a very big question. So maybe people are unsure if they should change jobs or, start a new job that they're interested in. And another thing too that comes up is also relationships. So maybe they're just, things maybe aren't going well with somebody that they're with, or maybe, they're having a bad relationship with the mother. Sometimes they just want sort of that information to help sort of give them advice on sort of how to deal with the situation or sort of guide them through the situation.
Okay. So do you basically do like a 3-card spread? Like, how does it work for you?
I do, yes. Normally I will do a 3-card spread. And sometimes it will be sort of still based sort of like, past, current, future, but sometimes that changes. But there's also been situations where I'm guided to pull extra cards. And that's why when I'm doing readings, like I always have like I actually have quite a few decks that are around me because I may be using, a certain deck for the 3 cards, but then I'll hear like 2, 1, 3. So I'm getting a message that I need to pull additional cards. So maybe those additional cards, usually when it happens, it's just giving extra confirmation to the messages that came up in the previous card. It's just sort of saying, yes, this is what you need to do kind of thing. It just gives that extra backup to really help tell the person that, this is the direction you should go in.
That's the direction you go to. And it never ceases to amaze me how freaking accurate these things are. And it really freaks me out sometimes. When I know a friend of mine, she when she comes over, she always brings her tarot cards, right? And she says, okay, shuffle them. She says, pick out 6 cards. And then she just goes, okay, this is what's going on. And it's like, what? And it's like, I didn't even ask a question. Usually you're trying to think of a question. And I've always been interesting. Is it basically part of the divination, or is it part of the subconscious mind that's picking the cards or you're connecting with that subconscious mind of the individual to connect with the card? How does that work?
I think it's a combination of like everything. Like I think, you're connecting to their subconscious, you're connecting to their higher self. And again, I just think in the spirit world, you get the spirit that's kind of there, kind of helping you like, okay, this is what you need to know, or this is what's going on. Because I find even for myself, I'll have a certain situation going on and I'll pull cards and be like, okay, well, what information do I need to know? And it'd be example like, have patience. And then I'll pull something from another deck and it's like, have patience. And it's always like the same message that comes through. It's like, okay, I get it. To my spirit team, my spirit guides, I get the message. So yeah, sometimes it's just, you connect to your higher self, you connect to the consciousness, spirit world, like everything comes together to help put it in your face in front of you. Like, this is what you need to know.
I've been guilty of keep shuffling until I got the correct answer that I wanted. Not the correct one. I always be like, that's not what I wanted to hear. That's not what I wanted to hear. Let me pick another card.
I used to be like this at the beginning too. I'm like, okay, what do I need to know? It's like, oh no, I think I like that. Let's try this. But I always found a way that whatever cool cards you pulled, like still no matter what, like they would still even be similar, like leading you to the direction of what you need to know.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of my listeners are probably going to say, yeah, I've done that so many times. Are doing that. Is there a proper or improper way to actually use cards?
For myself, I don't believe there is a proper or not proper way. And again, I think it's just the individual that's using the cards. Some people, maybe they want to keep their cards, in a sacred place, like in an altar. Maybe some people just might keep them in a box. Maybe some people, they might cleanse their cards and like do a ritual before using them. Some people might just pick them up and just kind of go with the flow. Again, that's what I like about Oracle cards, is just, there's just so much openness to it. And it's just, for the person that using them, like, again, I'm getting excited, but it's just gives me excitement. The person using it is just, you're open to it.
Now, do you actually give your cards to somebody else? Like a lot of times I've heard other practitioners won't let anybody else touch their cards because then they're imprinting that particular person's energy on their cards. Are you like, are you pretty like protective of your cards? It's like, okay, I'll just tell me when.
Yeah, I mean, I am protective of my cards, but also too for myself when I'm giving the reading, like I was mentioning before, like when I'm shuffling the cards. I mean, there's some people too that, maybe they like the client to shuffle. I know sometimes with tarot, people, they like to shuffle it and I'll get them to pull it. But for me, because I'm the one that's channeling the information, I'm the one that's connecting to spirit and connecting to the source to get the messages, I prefer shuffling from them. So it isn't per se that, I'm worried about their energetic imprint being on my cards, because I believe you can always cleanse them if you need to, but it's just that I'm the one giving the reading. So, and again, I have that little thing where I burn up and my temperature goes up, and that's how I know that this is what the person needs to know and this is the right card for them.
Okay, that sounds good.
But that is a big debate though. Yeah, a lot of people are like, no, never let anybody touch your cards.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I've always wondered about that. I mean, as somebody who's an empath too, as well, I can just pick up on objects and things like that. I can feel the energy on that too, as well. So, okay. So one of the things I found out about you too, as well, is that you're an ordained minister.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
I've never actually married anybody, but one of the reasons why I did it is because I became a certified crystal practitioner. And one thing that they sort of recommended is that, because again, with certain sort of crystal work you're doing with people that they might kind of need advice, that kind of stuff, be looking for guidance. So they just suggest that it's good to sort of become an ordained minister, because it just kind of shows that you sort of have a certain certificate to say, hey, I can, be here for you and do talking for you and advice. So yeah, so I became ordained minister, but have not actually married anybody, but that would be very cool if I did.
Well, I mean, that could be a good possibility, right? Like, I mean,
yes,
I think you could do like, pre-marriage counseling, like the Catholic Church would have to do. It's like, you'd have to go in, get your oracle card spread out there. Okay. And you get the groom and the wife there just beforehand, just to make sure that they're compatible, right? Because
there we go.
It could be the worst thing is that you're sitting there doing oracle cards and says, is this guy the right for me? And it's like, nope, 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 nope. Get all the cards saying it's like, yeah, maybe you should make another choice.
Yes, that possibly work. People not be happy with that, but that could work.
Well, it's an idea. That's another way of selling it. Like, I mean, you say, listen, we could do some pre-marriage. I'm sure actually people probably consult you first, probably before, like you said, in relationships too, as well. So,
yeah, that is a question that comes up is like, it's, is this person the right one for me?
Yeah, that's, I used to get that a lot in the beginning when I was doing readings, and I just kind of shifted the focus on why they kept attracting the same type of people over and over again. So I just kind of flipped it a bit and say, this is maybe why you're attracting the same type of human. It's not like, is this the guy that right for me? It's that probably you have a bad picker and you need to have a better choice and making better choices, I should say. So part of the ministry that, I mean, is it non-denominational?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like just like a universal church. So it's just very open and just, yeah, I mean, I've gone on their website and I would check in to see what's going on. They're all about sort of like love, being united and just accepting everybody. It's just very good energy there. Just very good energy that they have, and just how they try to get others to be ordained ministers.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I've had a couple of people on the program too, as well, that have been ordained ministers, and I always find it fascinating. And always, as part of their journey. And some people really come from a really strong religious background. And of course, that usually just kills anything, their connection to source or God, right? Like, I mean, organized religion, as much as it's so-called to help people a lot, it's done a lot more damage than anything. And it's kept us separate from source or God, or how you ever want to do it. And even the word God is like a swear word for some people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just really that type of energy towards it because of the indoctrination of these organized religions. Not like I'm a big fan, obviously, but yeah, I always just find it so fascinating on the journey, stuff like that. So I know you, in your other interviews you've had, you talked about, a little bit of personal issues and how you struggled with your health and stuff like that. And how you use that as a part of your story, but also as part of your strength to help other people heal. And, I have to say, Christine, I really commend you on that. And you're showing up despite what's going on with you. And from my understanding and my little research of the problem, it sounds like hell. And the fact that you keep showing up every day to help others, girlfriend, well done. Like
Thank you.
I mean, that's pretty fucking badass, I have to say. You know, it really shows the type of character that you are, and a person who's doing that is willing to, because most people would be so selfish at that time. It's all about me and my energy. But you know, your willingness to do every day, to go out there and hammer it out and help people out on their journey. I just say, you know, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, you know, I always just find it fascinating too, as well, is that you also did Akashic Records.
I did, yes.
Now, are you integrating that? Because I love Akashic Records. I'm all about that. I obviously, if anybody who's listened to the channel, I'm big about Akashic Records. You know, I'm a big Edgar Casey fan, all that stuff. So let's talk about Akashic Records, because I think that's so cool. So where did you study that? Because I find that so fascinating.
I actually studied it, how long ago was it now? Maybe I got my level 1, it's been over 10 years ago. And it was with a woman named Jennifer Longmore. And so at the beginning, she was kind of known as being sort of like one of the best teachers out there that was teaching it. And then I did go for level 2. And so usually with level 1, you know, you do it for yourself. Level 2, you can learn how to do it for others. But I always felt that the Akashic Record was something that I wanted to almost keep for myself. At the time, I thought about, oh, that'd be great to do that for other people as well, because you know, it's, you know, interested in the oracle cards and whatnot. But I just always had this feeling that that's something that's just meant to be for myself, and something that I just do for myself. So it's almost like my sacred time, you know, connecting with the record keepers and just spending time there and whatnot. And it's just, yeah, it's just my little secret thing for me.
But you actually don't practice that though. You don't do it as part of your reading?
I don't do, no, not part of my readings. Yeah, it's just something I just strictly do, just do for myself.
Really? Oh, you know, I'm going to be like, you're going to say, listen, that is something my spidey sense is all tingling on this other side here. It's something you should really pursue, right? Because you can really get connected really quickly. And that would just take, I mean, you're healing people as it is with your work. I'm getting my spidey senses. I'm sorry. It usually doesn't happen, but my spidey senses is going like a little wonky here. But that will just take your healing level to like a level 10. Like it's just, I mean, you're at 8. Well, I shouldn't say a level 10. You're about an 8 now. It may take it to a 25. Like it really is. That's just what I'm getting there, because it's just so profound, because you could really go to the core issue of the soul to know what was going on. But yeah, I mean, I would just find it so fascinating. So level 1. So where do you, how did they get you to get into the records?
Oh, it's just, it seems so natural when I did it. It's just, when I did the level 1, we were just sort of taught
hold on for a second. You said it's so natural?
Well, it felt like when I did it, like I felt like I was always connecting to something that had always been sort of a part of who I am, something that was like always, something that was always there.
Okay. Just confirming.
But yeah, so when we were taught, we just sort of, you know, you sort of say your opening prayer to get into the Hall of Records. And then, yeah, like it just, when I actually first did it, it was quite emotional, because the very first time I did it, I actually had, which is strange because I mean, I didn't expect it, but a friend of mine that had passed away actually like popped in, and she was like a happy, like bubbly person. And so she'd always be like, hi, like in real life, like that's just how she talks. So all of a sudden I go in my records and I'm like, all excited, ooh, what's this Hall of Kingdom? I want to get to see. And I see my friend go, hi. And then she just like took off. And then I was like in my records and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it's all about. And for me, it was a beautiful experience, because when I started to look around, I actually saw like a big pillar. I saw my book. And then for me, it was almost like Greek sort of Colosseum. Like I could just see like the spirals of the staircase and all the books. I could look at it was open at top. I could see the sky, and there was like sun shining, and it was absolutely beautiful experience.
Yeah. I've heard that so many times. I ventured there, but I wasn't allowed in. I was just like, damn, what's going on? It's like, what? I don't apply. Like, where do I get my card? Like, where's my library card? I got to get the Akashic library card to get in. But I just remember it's almost like the exact same. It looked very, very Greek on the outside, the white steps going up, the very long columns at the front. And it just looked like a very kind of big building. And I got to peek in. but it was just almost like they're kind of saying, maybe it's not just yet. But it was like, damn, I was almost there. Like, what's going on? It's like there was the bouncers there, at the bar, and I couldn't give the guy $20 to get in.
I was like, come on, I'll give you 40. Come on.
Yeah, 40, 50. Come on, guys. I don't know if the cash works up here. I mean, I got to tip him in Canadian, so I don't know how our dollar is. So, as far as the cards go, you talk about nature spirits and stuff like that. Do you spend a lot of time in nature?
I probably lately haven't as much as I used to, but I find when I'm around nature, I'm just such a believer and just connecting to the healing energy of Mother Earth. I've had experiences, and sometimes I've told this to people and they look at me like, okay, what have you been like into? But I can actually receive messages from trees. I receive messages from trees, if they're happy, if they're sad, if they're dying, even talking about I could get emotional, but I've sensed when trees are dying and they're like, I don't want to die. Like, I feel everything with nature, the energy in the rocks, the trees, the water. I've had experiences speaking with water and have received messages from it. And so, so for me, I just love nature. And that's sort of part of where the idea of wisdom within the winds came, is because it was the wind, because my family has a camp up in Northern Ontario, and it's a cabin in the woods. And by cabin in the woods, I mean, it's basic. There's like no running water. There's no electricity. And one of my favorite things to do was just to sit in the rock. There's a special rock there, and it's like my special place, and just connecting to nature, like just really feeling it and sensing it. And I would love feeling the wind on my face and just comforting me. It's just, oh yes, I love nature.
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of nature therapy. And it's interesting enough, in my own readings, it comes up a lot for people. It's always like, it's so bizarre. It's like, okay, you got to get out of nature. You got to get outside. And I think especially now, because we've been so confined and, obviously with COVID and all this craziness that's going around it, and most people are locked down. They can't go out and do the sort of things that they need to recharge and rebuild. And, and I always find it's just, I know I'm guilty of it too, because I've been kind of shut down and I love being outdoors. So if you don't mind me asking, whereabouts is it located up north? Like whereabouts, like is the closest town?
It's in Thunder Bay. So
Oh.
It is way up north.
That's okay. Listen, I used to live in Kenora. So I used to live in Sioux Narrows, and that's like a little further. It's a little more towards Winnipeg and up. So yeah, I know where that's. It's a beautiful area up there. I almost think about retiring up there. It's like, geez, I could have stayed up there, but just circumstances didn't work out that way. But yeah, it's, I'm an outdoor guy anyways. I like to fish. So that's my cup of tea, right? So yeah. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is your work with chakras too, as well, because you do offer a lot of services. So let's talk a little bit about the chakras and what you do with that, the pendulums. Now, do you do crystals with the chakras, or how does that work? How does your system work for you?
Well, what he did is I actually sort of came with a combination of sort of connecting to the chakras, but also using oracle cards and connecting, to spirit and source and getting messages. So what I sort of merge together is like using the pendulum for the person. I'll figure out, how is the energy flowing? Is it blocked? Is it stagnant? Maybe things are going a little crazy. Maybe things are, doing what they should be doing. And if I find with a pendulum, if somebody has, the chakras are stagnant or, chaotic, what I do then, I'll receive messages. So again, I'll sort of connect to the angelic realm, connect to spirit to see what does that person need to do to help balance their chakras? What can they do to help sort of just let that energy flow with better pace and whatnot. And then what I'll also do is pull oracle cards as almost like additional message, just to sort of give that. Again, you always get that sort of backup, like this is the information that you need to know. So then I get that extra information of this is what they can do to help their chakras. And then it's almost like soul work. It's almost like homework for the soul. It's like, this is the information that you've been given to help yourself. And now it's, sort of, it's up to you now if you wanted to do the work and
yeah,
what you were told.
Yeah, and that is the quintessential problem that I struggled with myself is with clients is you give them this information, they've asked for this information, they paid for this information. Okay, here's A, B, C, and D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what you need to do. And they just don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine said, he says, he says maybe 5% of the people that you see will actually take the information and use it and do something with it. And I always find that the frustrating part about my particular work. I don't know if you found the same thing.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny thing, because do you ever notice that they come back and they'll ask you the same thing,
The
like
same
6 months,
question.
6 months ago?
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but it's like a lot of times when I kind of go into usually a little bit of a trance state when I do my work. And so I don't remember shit afterwards. Like you're asking me these questions, and sometimes I know because it's the same kind of cadence, but I don't remember anything. But do you find that, it's always the same questions that come back 6 months later, 3 months later, or even a month later? They're going to say, okay, by the way, and do you remember when you said this? And, such and such said this, and you said such and such said that. And it's like, I don't remember that, but it seems like the same pattern that you're picking up and doing the same thing again.
Yeah, I find that does happen quite a bit, that you'll get the same questions, maybe worded in like different ways. So I'm trying to like make it look like it's not the same question, but it's always the same one. And that's why I always tell clients too, that, when getting an oracle card reading, it's almost like getting advice from a best friend. The information you're going to receive may not be the information that you are, like, the information that you're going to receive may not be what they want to hear. So that's why often I think people come back, because it's like, well, they don't like the answer that they got, but I'm like, this is what, this is the information that came through. This is what spirit, this is what the angelic realm has to share with you. But they're like, oh, okay, I don't know if I like that or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always want to cut back.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like what she said. And it's like, yeah. And the thing is, like we were talking earlier, it's like, it's always about the truth. And I always appreciate somebody who can really, talk the talk, but also walk the walk and say their truth and say, this is what's going on. There's nothing like having somebody like a people pleaser, someone, as much as we're readers, we love helping people. We can get into that people pleasing thing. But if you cut it, like my readings are very much bone dry. Like they're very like straightforward. I don't pull no punches. And it's like, this is the fucking problem. You need to fix it. This is what needs to be done. Right. And they don't sugarcoat stuff like and I love my guides. They're so funny as hell. They'll say stuff to me and I was like, I can't say that. Do you find that sometimes they'll say something and you'll be like, what? Did you just say that to Maisie? Like,
I find with me, they're just a bit more gentler.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you do get that once in a while. They're going, I don't know.
Well, sometimes they'll be like, give like a little laugh, like, come on, okay, pass this on, or what this is.
Are there certain messages that you won't pass on?
I've never had an experience where there's anything that I wouldn't pass on. I mean, even to I've had experiences where doing a reading and I'm in tears because somebody is going through something extremely difficult and I can feel everything. But if the message, whatever comes through, is what I'm going to pass on to them, because I'm being told like this is what they need to know. But I mean, I've never had anything that's been like so awful that I couldn't pass it on. But maybe people want a happy answer, like, okay, like, yes, this is the direction, and this is what's going to happen if you do this, this, and this. But it's like, that's really not how it's going to go. But I think it's important because, again, whatever's coming through, it's to help the person, it's to guide the person. So by me holding back something, it's not going to help them. It's going to defeat the purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing and why they're even having the reading.
Yeah, that's so true. And I find one of the things when I was first doing this, I struggled with that, what to say, because a lot of the information I get is pretty deep and pretty, my guys really show me the real wounding of the individual. And it's pretty tough to see sometimes and pretty tough to feel. And I'm an empath just like you. And I'm a crier. I admit it. I cry all the time. And a lot of times my client's not crying, but I'm crying. I'm sitting there going, like, I got a box of tissues right here, like half the time. And they're going, is that, why do you, and it's like, it's for me. Trust me, it's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. And it's like, okay. And it's like, all of a sudden I'd be sitting there and I'm starting to go tearing up, and I'm just like, okay, control yourself. Just breathe into it. It's not yours. It's not yours. But you just kind of see that pain and you can see that stuff. And, I always get so happy with people because I really love the person. I don't know about you, but I really love the person who shows up and wants to do the work. I love those people. I find them like their strongest, people out there. And I love the fact that they're willing to go into their shit, and they're willing to take charge, and they're willing to do that work. And I just love them to death, because I know at the end of this, they're going to be so amazing. They're going to help other people. And it's like, if I could be just a little part of that journey, I get so happy. I don't know. Is that happening with you too as well?
It does. Yeah. Like, it's just so exciting when you get information to somebody and they take it to heart and they're just like, yes, okay, I know what to do now. This is what I'm going to do. And you almost feel like you're helping them, maybe take the training wheels off for them so they can help sort of go on their way. But I find too, there's experiences where, before even doing your reading, you can just sense the energy of who has guards up and who have, they got walls, and they can tell that, yeah, they're getting a reading, but they're not really going to fully absorb the information or take it to heart or maybe do what they need to do with the information.
Yeah. So how do you go work around the walls?
I just try to be honest. It's just, again, always relate the information that whatever information you receive, it may not be what you want to hear, but this is what you need to hear. And this is to help you. This is to support you. This is to guide you. So just take it to heart. Let it sit with you. Sometimes I tell people, what you receive, it may not make sense right now. And maybe they just need time to just sort of just sit with it and just hopefully connect the information. But yeah, just try to do as best I can to just gently sort of pass on the information and hope that they will eventually let their guards off. Because it can be scary, especially if somebody's never had a reading before, they're like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, or what I'm going to be told, or they're told information that wasn't exactly what they wanted to hear, that they're ready, they want nothing to do with it anymore. And it's just like, no, this is to help you,
Yeah. Yeah. So just a quick question. Do you have any oracle decks right by you, real close?
I do have one here. It's called Nature's Whispers.
Okay. Just hold it up. Just hold it up just like there. Okay. So we can see that.
It's actually one of my favorite decks.
All right. So for those who are listening, so you can also watch this on YouTube, guys. So, but those cards there. So how many cards are usually in a deck?
I'm not even sure. I've never actually paid attention to the cards on Oracle decks, but with Oracle decks, they can range. Like some Oracle decks might have 30 cards, some Oracle decks might have 50 cards. It all depends on who's created them and the messages that they have in them.
Would it be possible? And again, we can say no. Is it possible? I don't know if we can do this. Like I do a channeled reading for our listeners so that the energy it's encompassing. I know that this is a pre-recorded show. But is there any way we can kind of pull some cards for those who are listening and just kind of do a generalized reading for people? Like if we do something like that, is that possible?
I can. I just got the number 2. So I'm actually going to just pull 2 cards.
Let's do it.
And we'll see what comes through. So it just might take me a couple seconds just to sort of to ground and connect. And again, like I said, when I shuffle, when I know it's the right time, I burn up and then I hear the word stop. And then I know it's time to pick that card. So
you do your thing. I'll just yap to the audience here and just keep them busy and stuff like that. But this is super pumped. So, I always love this. And I know everybody who's watching and listening to this is okay. Everybody's asking the same questions. I can kind of feel it now. So we're going to have 2 cards. Should be really interesting to see what cards pull up. Generalized reading. So again, but you'd be surprised that these particular cards are going to be meant for you, those who are listening, and it'd be really freaky out. So this is what I love about oracle cards. And Christine is you're not really a wizard, you're the high priestess. All right. So she's just basically shuffling the cards right now. So you guys are listening on the podcast. So you'd be wondering, okay, why is there such silence here? But she's just shuffling now. So I'm giving a play-by-play right now. And I'm really excited to see this because I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, a lot of things going on in their lives. So hopefully these beautiful angelic messages can come to you guys and help you out, So if you're having a shitty day and whatever cards are being pulled out are being pulled out.
Okay. So the first card we have here is Fresh Approach. If you can see that in there.
Okay. Fresh Approach. That's beautiful.
Fresh Approach.
Oh, I like that. I love the artwork on that.
Yes, it's absolutely beautiful artwork. And the second one is Gratitude and Appreciation.
Gratitude and Appreciation. Okay.
So what I'm what I'm feeling is, I almost feel like I can't breathe right now. A lot of heaviness. Yeah, it's like, wow, it's like a lot of heaviness, a lot of weight. And there's just a feeling of needing to let go to make room for the new. And so with the card Fresh Approach, I can almost, there's almost a feeling of just cleansing yourself. You know how when you have a shower and you just, you feel so fresh and clean and you just feel fantastic. There's a feeling of just needing to just almost cleanse yourself, just like a spiritual cleanse, just to sort of help just, yeah, there's just a heaviness of feeling is just very, very overwhelming. It's a lot. So a lot of weight that needs to be released, a lot of just sort of spiritual cleansing. And it feels that if people can sort of let go of this weight, if they can kind of just sort of let things go, because it feels as a resistance. It feels with a lot of this heavy stuff, as much as it's there's almost resistance of not being able to let it go, but it's important to let it go. And so, yeah, Fresh Approach is just kind of like new beginnings, just feeling fresh and anew. And with the gratitude and appreciation, it's just, if you can let go of the old and let go of that weight, it just lets in room for new opportunities, for new beginnings, and just, I feel like a feeling of like just playfulness and just more things you can appreciate in life. Because if you're stuck on holding on to the negative weight, which is understandable because, you know, the state of things right now, I mean, it's quite overwhelming. But if you hold on to that, it's hard to appreciate and just take in and enjoy the other things that are around us. You know, yes, there's a lot of difficult things going on. A lot of people are struggling, but there's also so much beauty and there's also so much goodness and so much to be grateful for and so much to appreciate. So yeah, so it's just a feeling of try to let go of that heaviness so we can just feel more joy and feel more happiness and just, yeah, just enjoy life more. Yeah, so that's what I feel. But yeah, a lot of heaviness, but need to just
Let
it go.
Yeah, you know, I really appreciate that. So can you just for my audience who is watching this on YouTube, the 6 people who watch it, it's crazy with YouTube. It's funny, you know, I'm going to kind of say this. It's funny. I'll get like maybe 10 views on YouTube, but I'll get like 500 downloads on Spotify and Apple, which I love you guys. Thank you. So if you could just take those cards, just kind of show them up so people can kind of see them again. Yeah, just.
Yeah, so this was the Fresh Approach.
Fresh Approach. We get the focus.
See that?
Okay, so we have a unicorn there with a little child in the gratitude, which is cute. And then we have like a goddess woman looking over the earth, kind of like an angelic figure, but it's almost like it's morphed into a tree type thing. From what I'm seeing, they're kind of like a nature spirit / angel. It's very, very cool cards. What other cards you got down there?
This is why I love this deck, because it's so beautiful and it's so whimsical and it's just, yeah.
Yeah. What other deck do you have in your stash there? Just show us what you got there. Show us your stash.
I don't have any close, but I have a box. I have a box full of cards. I just only have this one by my side, but.
All right. Show us what cards you got there.
I'm going to pull out my box. I can go like.
Yeah, go ahead. Show us the stash. Okay, this is a professional woman. This is what a professional has available to her.
I have, and I'm because I have so many decks. I'm kind of nerdy because I do like to organize things as well. So I actually have my decks organized by what are my animal cards, what are my angel cards, my magic cards, my self-care cards, my nature cards. So they're all in deck. Okay, I'm excited. I am going to go grab some decks.
Yeah, go grab some decks. So if you hear, okay, so I'm just going to talk while she go grab some decks because this is going to be fun. Because I know a lot of people are thinking the same thing. I have the same thing. You know, I got so many decks and they're probably going to say, oh, I have that deck. I have that. Now, don't bring all 300 of them, Christine, just to let you know, just bring a few. So, but I really appreciate that. So the message was, so we had that card reading for those who are just tuning in and watching this. We talked about, you know, the gratitude and acceptance and fresh start. So that's kind of like the general message there. So, and she's plugging back in.
Okay. I feel like a kid at a candy store.
That's okay.
That's decks.
So I was saying, well, you had your back turned. I was just saying, okay, don't grab all 300 decks.
No. I do have a couple from different categories. Okay,
right.
so this is one deck here. This is under my nature category, but it is the Sacred Forest.
Oh, okay. I love that. Very cool.
This one is actually nice. And then from my magic category, I have spell casting.
Nice. Ooh, I like that.
And then I just recently got this one and I put it under my animal category. It is heart.
Okay. So just say that like, because your microphone got cut off there. So just.
It's the Heart Path Oracle cards.
Those look fantastic. Love those. Those look great.
They are amazing.
Yeah, I just love, I love the artistry on a lot of these cards because I always just think, I think of a lot of them are channeled. Like a lot of the artistry is channeled to do that because some are so. I was seeing this, geez, how many years ago? This guy that I knew, he had these beautiful Arcturian cards. They were channeled from the Arcturians. And he had them basically the designs and all these beautiful imagery. And I was like, where did you come up with this? He says, I just got this channeled. And he was just making these beautiful cards. And I was like, wow, that's just so profound. When you pick a card, like, are you actually looking for a card or you're more drawn to it? It's like, okay, I need to get a new card. It's like spirit going, you know what? You need to have one of these in the back shelf. It's like, like a mechanic's got to have all the different tools, right? You got to have all the different wrenches and different things that you need to fix the car. Do you find spirit sometimes guide you in order to say, hey, you need to pick a deck on angelic beings, or even more magic cards?
I definitely get a message. Like there's been times where I've seen a deck and I think, oh my goodness, this deck is absolutely beautiful. Oh, I would love to have this, but I just get this feeling that I'm not meant to have it. Maybe not ever, but not right now. And so I find that I will get almost like a little tingles, a little sensation that it's like, yes, you need this in your life right now, or it's like, hold off, maybe at another time. But yeah, definitely I get a message of like when I need decks in my life and when I not need them, which is disappointing. It's sometimes like, oh, but this is so cool. I'd really like to have it, but I just know not right now. Just sort of have patience, just wait it out. And then the right deck that I do need will come into my life.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I've always been curious at how, you come to pick up your decks and stuff like that, and it's always been because, I know for every individual, it's always going to be different. They're going to be drawn to one thing or another. Like we said at the beginning of the show, it's really the intent on what they're doing and stuff like that and why they're bringing it up. When you do your readings, are you kind of getting a pre-download to what cards need to be going? So it's like, okay, I need to have magical cards and angel cards for this person. Or you just kind of have a stack and you just kind of pick through it. How does that work for you? Usually
what I do is that like intuitively, I'll pick a bunch of decks. So maybe it might be 6 decks, maybe it might be 8, maybe it might be 4. And then from there, again, just intuitively, I'll sense, okay, this is the deck that I need to use for them. So yeah, I always go by what I'm sensing. I don't bring out, like, I think I have like 40 decks, 50 decks now. Like I don't bring everything out. I just intuitively pick sort of which ones I have a strong connection, what I'm feeling a pull towards, and then they'll put those aside. And then once the reading actually starts, then I'll be like, okay, this is the deck that I'll use.
Okay. So one of the things I know I'm a little curious about, and I think all my listeners will be kind of curious about, how do you do the readings with your husband? So you guys got to do like a double whammy. So that's got to be pretty cool. So maybe kind of talk us through that, how that works. Because you're a powerful reader, and then you have your husband who's a powerful reader. You put the two together, and it must be just like a crazy, crazy show between the two of you.
Well, we came up with the reading, the Herb and the High Priestess, and it sort of happened because at the time, Ivan was doing Facebook Lives, with his tarot readings and whatnot, and I thought that was kind of fun, but I was really shy. I'm like, oh no way can I do like a Facebook Live by myself? So I said to Ivan, and I said, well, what if we try to do something together? And he's like, yeah, that's like a cool idea. And he's like, I'll do tarot, and then you can do your oracle card readings. And then we thought, okay, let's do it. So we did our first Facebook Live, and then we just couldn't believe just how parallel our messages were. And there'd even be times like, because the way it would work is that Ivan will shuffle his cards and he'll do his reading first. And then as he's giving the reading, like I'm still shuffling and I'm getting my messages, but there's times I'm almost like giggling because I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is the message that I just got. So as he's relaying to the person what he received, I've already like jotted that down because that's the message that I got, and that's what's like coming through the cards. So we just couldn't believe just how the messages were just so similar, how parallel they were. And so we did a couple more Facebook Lives, and then we thought, you know what, like let's offer this as a service. And then, so then we thought, all right, Herman the High Priestess, it was our service we're offering people.
I could definitely see you as the High Priestess, but the Hermit, I'm not sure where did that come? I mean, did you give him that name or?
He gave it to himself. Part of it is because he used to have a big beard, and there used to be this, it was like an art image of the hermit, but the dude had like this long like hippie beard and like a staff, a jean jacket. And so when Ivan did his music back then, like he had the big beard and wore like a jean vest. So it looked like Ivan. So that's how we sort of thought, okay, he's the hermit because he looked like this art that was done for this hermit card. So
I guess
him. He gave it to himself. But.
Okay, I just thought maybe you just said one day you guys are having a fight and it says, you know what, I'm going to call you the Hermit, and I'm the High Priestess. Okay,
it was his choice.
It was his choice. Yeah, and I've heard so many good things about you, the both of you, and especially the power of the two readings, which is just so fantastic. And that being said, Christine, we're out of time.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was certainly a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed our conversation. But that being said, so for people who are listening and people who are watching the video, the 6 people, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to put that the thousands of people who are watching this video. Where can they find you? Where's all your information? Where can they find you?
They can find information on my website. So it's www.wisdomwithinthewinds.com. And I'm also on social media. So on Facebook and Instagram, you can also find me at wisdomwithinthewinds.com.
Okay. So I'll have Christine's, all that information in the description below. So again, all you have to do is just scroll down, look in the information in the description in the video and also in the podcast. So if you're looking for a badass reading, the High Priestess here, that's your person to go to. Yeah. And again, I really enjoyed our conversation, Christine. So I'm just going to sign off on the podcast here. So this has been the Metaphysical Mentor Podcast with Michael Philpott. Thank you so much for joining me, and goodbye for now.